Good morning. My name is Jesse Leon.
I'm Ruby Reyes.
I'm Angel Valenzuela.
I'm Isabela Garcia.
And I'm Alexis Rodriguez.
And today we are presenting From Tragedy to Triumph, the threads of the Zoot Riots.
It was in June 1943 when mobs of U.S. servicemen, off-duty police officers, and civilians went on a 2-week rampage against Mexican-American families. This tragedy would become known as the Zoot Riots.
Out of this tragedy came an amazing triumph, the creation of proud Chicanos willing to embrace their heritage and identify with their culture, and willing to fight for a rightful place in society.
The Zoot Riots helped mobilize the Mexican-American civil rights movement, inspiring Chicano activists, empowering communities to stand together. Mexican-Americans proved that with unity comes power, and with power comes triumph. The struggle continues even today, as there are more battles to fight.
Following the bombing of Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941, the United States declared war on Japan and entered World War II shortly 2 days after, on December 9th. As a result, men were needed to fight in the war, leaving behind their families and their jobs.
In August 1942, the Rosero program was adopted, a program for farm workers, bringing 200,000 Mexican immigrants to the United States. Many will go to Los Angeles, California. At the same time, servicemen were arriving in Los Angeles to be shipped off to war. Roseros were arriving in an already heavily populated community. They were not welcomed by white Californians. Tensions grew.
As part of the war effort, the United States started rationing wool. Mexican-American youth identified with the Zoot started rationing restriction. They were labeled as unpatriotic. The two cultures clashed.
Hey, Peter, who let you out of your barrio? You better take off that suit. It's illegal.
Yeah, don't you know we're at war? Real Americans are going without clothes because of all the shortages. You should respect our country.
I can wear whatever I want. Essay, your country does not respect me or my culture. Look around. What do you see? Signs that say, no dogs or Mexicans, whites only. My parents worked so hard picking crops and yet they're afraid to leave the barrio.
Your parents are smart. They know their place. You should learn from them.
Never. We are proud Pachucos.
Out again, Hank? Look at you. That suit. Why do you dress like the colored kids?
Ma, it's from the bands in Harlem. They have style. When I wear my drapes, everyone sees me.
What they see is a gangster, a pachuco.
Ma, you don't get it. I want them to see a proper Pachuco, not willing to obey the rules.
Hank. Oh, good morning, Mrs. Layla. Hank, did you hear about that stabbing down at Sleepy Lagoon? The police are looking for all of 38th Street. You need to lay low.
What? Do you know anything about this?
Ma, the cops ain't got nothing on me, and you know
You're
it.
Hank Layla, the angry gang leader from 38th Street. That's what they've got on you.
Man, I'm supposed to report to the Navy tomorrow. I see.
Forget about your war overseas. Your war's on the home front.
In response to the murder, the media began a campaign against all suitors. Although innocent, Hank Leyva and 11 others were sentenced to life in prison for the murder of Jose Diaz.
Hey, a couple of our guys just got jumped by some spics from downtown. We gotta teach them a lesson.
Come on, let's go get him. Sailors and Marines from Los Angeles Naval Reserve took cabs and headed to the barrio. This was the beginning of the Zoot Riots.
Hey, look, there goes one of those beaners.
Hey, nice suit.
Yeah, let me see it. Come on.
The local press praised the actions of servicemen, not because they protected our people. The violence stopped when military intervened on June 7th. They declared that Los Angeles would be off limits to all military personnel.
Good morning. I'm Ruben Salazar with the LA Times. Today we'll be interviewing survivors from the Zoot riots.
My name is Reno Saneri, and me and some other of the sailor guys were heading downtown, and then we saw two pachucos walking by. We knew we had to teach them guys a lesson, so we tore off those monkey suits and ripped them to shreds. The other guys hated them because they're Mexican, but I hated them because they're unpatriotic.
I am Marietta Lee. The Mexicans were everywhere. They refused to stay in their area, so I volunteered to drive some Marines down to El Toro to join the sailors to deal with those unpatriotic hoodlums.
My name is Gloria Rios. I remember walking out of the movie theater with my amigas. Hundreds of sailors were beating our pachucos and ripping their zuzus to shreds.
My name is Rudy Levas. Me and 20 others were rolling down the street. When we seen some sailors, we protected our barrio. We were successful until more sailors and Marines showed up. Then we were just overwhelmed.
Now, what happened after the riots stopped?
Finally, they outlawed those monkey suits.
Our mayor said the riots were caused by criminals in the barrio.
Wait a minute. Governor Ern Worrell formed a committee to study the riots.
That's right. And he said it was because of racism and hatred towards Mexican Americans.
Finally, they get it. A triumph for the barrio. Sí se puede.
We know the riots were connected with the Sleepy Lagoon murder trial, and on October 4th, 1944, all 17 defendants were released with their records cleared. Now, what did you guys think when you heard the ruling was overturned?
At that time, I was back in Japan fighting for my country. I didn't know they were released until later.
I cannot believe it. We all knew they were guilty. It was because of the Communist Committee.
You mean the Sleepy Lagoon Defense Committee? They were labeled communist because they helped people in the barrio organize. They helped raise money to appeal the case and got word out with their publicity programs.
We thought everybody was against us, but they gave us hope. They wrote letters to our boys in jail and gave them hope too.
Not only would this be a triumph for their boys, this would be a triumph for all Mexican Americans. The threads of the Zoot riots and the Sleepy Lagoon verdict would change us.
The Zoot riots encouraged activists, reformers, and immigrant communities to fight. They organized Quema del Barrio to fight segregated society for all civil rights abuses.
My name is Gonzalo Mendez. I was fed up with my children going to inferior schools, so I challenged Orange County in court and ended segregation in the state of California.
The case of Mendez versus Westminster paved the way for Brown versus Board of Education, that outlawed segregation in the United States.
Throughout the 1960s and early 1970s, the Mexican civil rights movement caused the uprise of new activists and leaders who sought to challenge segregation through direct political action.
I am Dolores Huerta. Cesar and I were both young Zooters and we united the farm workers.
Known as the father of Chicano theater, former farm worker Luis Valdez inspired cultural revolution.
I am Luis Valdez. I knew if I became a playwright, I could address the needs and tell our stories while also raising the profile of all Mexican Americans.
In Denver, Colorado, Rodolfo Corky Gonzalez formed the Crusade for Justice. His epic poem, I Am Joaquin, addressed political, cultural, and economic struggles.
I am the masses of my people. I refuse to be absorbed. I am Joaquin.
In 2018, a record number of our activists and leaders were elected to Congress. What a great triumph.
But more of us must vote to change today's political climate. We have more battles to fight.
We must fight for our dreamers. All they want is a path to citizenship.
At the border, there are children in cages. Is this America?
Fired up by Corky's epic poem, we stand together.
La raza,
Mexicano,
Español.
Latina,
Chicano,
or whatever we call ourselves.
we are strong.
We are proud.
We are united.
we will triumph.
We are the threads of the Zoot riots.
Wow. Why did you guys pick this topic? What gave you the idea to do it?
So basically, it's part of our, as part of us because we see it as a we continue to like live that legacy, and a lot of people don't really know about this topic. So we decided, people need to know like what happened, and because it was just a great like.
We can't let people forget what our ancestors and people back then did for us to get us where we are right now.
Excellent. So I was really impressed with the amount of sources that you guys put together, especially primary sources, newspaper articles for sure. Tell me, what are some of the differences that you saw with the perspective of those newspapers versus the perspectives of the Mexican community at the time?
So the newspapers were biased. They were always saying, you know, using like words to describe them as seeing like they weren't unpatriotic and they weren't like citizens, but they were, and they were just bringing them down as a community to like so other people would like get that bias that they you know, they're just troublemakers, but they're really not.
They tried criminalizing all Mexicans in general.
Painting a false image.
Yeah.
And then my follow-up question would be is, did you guys look into any Spanish publications at the time that may have talked about the riots?
No. Basically all, they didn't want them to speak, in Los Angeles it was like, they wanted them to lose that Spanish, so all the newspapers were in English, so and speaking Spanish in schools would be like,
Forbidden.
yeah, they would want you to forget the Spanish and learn the English.
You only came across this topic because you were in a class that focused on, was it called Chicano class? What you said. You also took American history class. Was there anything about this event in your textbook in American history that your teachers ever talked about?
I don't think we've ever gone through this event.
The 40s mostly focuses on World War II, and that's what we learned in U.S. history class, but Chicano studies, you know, it's like a different perspective, so that's why, you know, in schools, you mostly only see World War II.
Yeah, you only see one side of the story, and we wanted to embrace the other side.
Yeah, well, that's good, that's good. Well, one of the things you made a good point of that, you know, I don't think we do this, the difference between de jure segregation and de facto segregation. De jure is by law, is a Latin term. And you talked about the Brown versus Board of Education case and various legislation that we have on the books that protect civil rights. But in fact, we still have some what they call de facto segregation in terms of that communities are somewhat segregated in this country, right? And that's because prejudice still exists, correct?
Yeah.
What do you think, after studying this and seeing the impact of that prejudice? What's the answer? Where are we going with continued prejudice against Mexican Americans and other minority groups? Have you given that any thought?
Well, see, what they say is just people would think like, okay, this is our way of life. Like people will hate us, so we just gotta live, you know. But it doesn't have to be like that. We have to speak out, you know, like how they did, and you know, stand up for ourselves. Maybe not by writing, but in some sort of way where like they'll see us, they know we're here, and you know, we need to change this, and speaking out, and not just like, okay, this is our way of life, so we won't change.
Yeah, as we learned this, we realized that back then, if they could overcome it, we know we as Mexicans, and because that's our background, we know we have the power that we can change it too.
Fantastic. Is there anything you weren't asked that you'd like to talk about? Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You did
Appreciate
a
it.
great job.